This is a reader's question. It says, "Hi, Annie, I've been feeling unwell without alcohol. I'm on day 45. Is this typical?" So alcohol, unfortunately, it does two things that we really can't argue with. I mean, every single benefit that you think you drink for, I had a whole list. I actually started my journey making an entire list of every single reason I drank. And it was big, it was long, and then I asked my friends all of the reasons they drank, and that was where I started this insight into, knowledge and understanding what alcohol was and what it did in the body, and answering this question that was pervasive for me, which is, why is this changed? Why is this different? Why was I so, in control in every other area of my life, seemingly successful, seemingly together, but this one thing had such a hold on me? What was this? And in order to answer that question, I made these lists. And these were the lists of every single reason I drank. And when I went through these lists very, very methodically, I found that every single reason that I drank really wasn't true. Actually, in most cases, it was the opposite. So I drank to be happier. I drank to have more fun. Turns out that one of the chemical processes of alcohol is it deadens your ability to feel joy from anything that's not alcohol. It's really scary, right? Or I drank to relax. Turns out that one of the properties of alcohol is that in response to it, your body releases cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So all of these reasons, one by one, methodically, I knocked them down, except two. There's two things that alcohol does that you just cannot argue with, that it really does do. For the first, number one is for the first 20 minutes of a drink, it makes you feel that euphoric, tipsy feeling. And it's generally more intense on your first drink. It's less intense on your second, on your third drink. Your first drink, it might be 20 minutes. A lot of people have timed this now. I highly recommend you do it. If you're still drinking, where you time yourself and say, okay, how long do I feel good on that first drink before I start to feel bad? Because that's kind of the arc. You feel good before you feel bad. And it's usually 20, 25 minutes the first drink, 15 minutes or so the second drink. Maybe you get 8 or 10 minutes a third drink, and then after that, you just don't feel good anymore. And so that's something it does, is that when your blood alcohol is rising in those first few minutes of a drink, it can give you that tipsy, euphoric feeling, that little bit of an escape. Number one. The second thing that it does, sort of definitively, is it numbs you. It numbs your brain and it numbs your body. Unfortunately, that also means it numbs your senses. So when it's coming to, like intimate experiences, they're just not as fun when you're drinking, even though you think they might be, but your body is physically numbed. When it comes to tasting things, they don't taste as good when you're drinking because your taste buds are actually numbed. So all those different things, but it does actually numb your body. They used to use it in surgery as an anesthetic before they found things that were much less dangerous than alcohol. And so the question is, I've been feeling unwell without alcohol. Is this typical? And one of the things that I'm going to say in response, especially it looks like you're quite a few days in, is that there is a good chance that alcohol has been to some degree numbing something that is actually wrong in the body and actually needs attention. Now you can look at this two ways. You can look at this as like, oh my gosh, I need to start drinking again. That's so scary. Or you can look at this like, oh my gosh, I've dodged a bullet because now I can actually see that there's a symptom and I need to find out why. Why is it that I feel unwell? Why is it that I am having whatever symptom it is that I'm having or experiencing? And this is a beautiful, amazing chance to actually heal rather than just numb a symptom. So when you think of something numbing something, Advil, Tylenol, things that numb pain, things that, alleviate pain, it is like taking a Band-Aid and putting it over a wound without actually healing or sewing the wound up. And so what you have is you can't see the wound anymore. You might have, been absorbing the blood into the Band-Aid, so you can't see the blood anymore, but the wound is still there, it's still festering, and it's probably getting worse. Whereas if you can open it up, clean out the wound, heal the wound, you are going to be in a much, much better position. And so to use alcohol to self-medicate, which many people do, many people, myself included, I would use alcohol to self-medicate stress. I would use alcohol to self-medicate pain in different instances. If I felt bad and it wasn't, I'd be like, oh, I need a hot toddy because I'm feeling congested or whatever the case was. There was always a good reason to drink. And if you're using it to numb, It will do that, but it is only covering up a symptom. It is not healing you. And so I would say that if you're feeling unwell without drinking, this is a beautiful time to say, okay, well, why? You know, it is not typical that it's the alcohol, especially how many days in you are. You're not experiencing any more symptoms from alcohol. Alcohol actually leaves the body relatively quickly. It takes a little bit longer for our brain and bodies to rebalance from constant expectation of a drink, but it leaves the body relatively quickly. And so if you're still feeling bad, this is a great time to say, hey, what is this? But rest assured, it is not because you're not drinking directly. It is probably because drinking has in some way numbed something that actually really needs attention, which is a great thing to know. Very important. So what a great question.